record. And today's lab, fetal pig dissection. We're not doing the dissection itself. However, well, in the lab you would be. There is a couple of links which you can access and take a look. There is a YouTube video which basically showing you external and internal organs in the pig. And for the lab practical sake, you will need to be able to identify like a handful of about a dozen of those particular internal organs, and I'll address some of them. Make sure you know those particular organs, because on a lab practical there will be a picture with a pin sticking in, and then you need to identify the organ, for example, or the function. All right, so keep that in mind. Now, and then of course there is the another link which basically goes slide by slide, similar to what we have. I haven't done that particular dissection yet. Probably will do it for the next semester. However, next semester it seems like we are going away from online majors, lab or lectures overall. There will be all of that will be face to face, unless something will change in the nearest future. But so far, I think all the Bio 2 classes are scheduled for face to face. Anyway. So you should be able to access that, and then that. So pre-lab questions: which phylum and class does pig belongs to? The phylum, of course, chordates, and the class will be Mammalia, right? Mammals. Name the class to which pig belongs to. Mammals. What are distinct characteristics of mammals? And we talked about that not so long ago. So remember, 7 neck vertebrates, the fur/hair, right? And then, of course, we are talking about feeding the little ones, well, the young ones with the milk, newborns. And then, of course, we're talking about the deuterostomes. We talk about the endoskeleton, right? All of that particular thing. Which group the mammals do pig belong to? Which group of mammals? Something which known as the even-hooved creatures, or even-hooved animals, or even-hooved mammals, unlike odd-hooved mammals, because whenever the pig, well, the front and the back legs of the pig were evolving, they basically have 3 fingers reduced in size, and this one basically turned into a hoof, so 2 fingers using well, used for running essentially. And many of them, like let's say the cows, and then I think the camels, they are considered to be even-hooved because they have 2 fingers, even number of fingers which have the hooves. Unlike odd hooves, horses, they will not be showing you that particular finger, but it's a middle finger. They have only 1. The rest of them are drastically reduced in sizes. They are there, but drastically reduced, they no longer use. So basically, the horse running only on 1 hoof, odd number. Anyway, which group of, okay, we did that. Why the pigs are choosing to be dissected today? Well, fetal pigs are relatively large. Plus, we have you can clearly see most of the internal organs. In the anatomy lab, if you proceed into A&P, you will be dissecting cats, but well, pigs are relatively, well, they're smaller, but you can clearly see all of the necessary organs for us. Plus, you don't have to deal with the hair or anything like that, and it's money wise, I think that the pigs, the fetal pigs, are slightly cheaper. Watch the dissection again. You're looking at the dissection video, and then you're identifying the external anatomy, and all of those needs to be external morphology. All of them needs to be labeled, right? You will not be able to find the tongue and the hard plate. It have to be in the mouth, and of course the hard plate is the roof of the mouth, and the soft plate is all on the back. But nares or nostrils, you should be able to auricle, pinna, basically the ear, the opening of the ear, hooves, and you can see that they are even hoofed creatures, right? And then umbilical cord, that would be the umbilical cord, scrotum. Actually make sure that you will know the difference between the female and male whenever you will be looking at the slides. The males, of course, will have the scrotum and the penis, and then the females will have the papilla, something which known as the urogenal papilla, and inside it will have something which known as the ovaries. Because quite often in the lab, I'm students naming them, and I'm like, well, do you have a boy or a girl? And they're like, we have a boy. I'm like, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but your boy has ovaries. They're like, where? I'm like, well, they see those particular things, that's the ovaries. So like, so you have a girl. So make sure that you understand and will be able to identify if it's a boy or girl. So now, where you can locate hard and soft palate, it's basically roof of the mouth, the top one, where the bone is a hard palate, and then there is the soft palate on the back of the mouth. This is where the bone is ending. We saw that in one of the labs. I was talking about that. Where you can locate the epiglottis and what is the function. Epiglottis is a little flap which covers what? Trachea. Whenever we're swallowing the food, epiglottis closing the trachea. There is no Lab 19 guide because you have to access, basically this is the Lab 19 guide right here. And I think if you look at the explanation as to somewhere, I think it's in the lab number 19. Let me pull it out really quickly. I think it says right there, hold on. Course content, lab, laboratory 9, lab number 19, get the lab 19 guide, or will take you directly to the virtual dissection page. This is the lab 9, this is your guide right here. So yeah. See right there, and we're looking at this lab 19. It's not on the Blackboard, it's a separate page. So anyway, so let's see how you can tell pig female or male. Males will have scrotum, the female will have a urogenital opening or urogenital papilla. Where is the anterior and posterior? Anterior is the head, posterior is the back side. Now, in the internal morphology, you might want to kind of highlight a few things which most likely you will see on a lab practical. I haven't wrote that particular one yet, but diaphragm. Diaphragm is basically the muscular part which is separating the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. Thyroid gland as well as the thymus gland is kind of hard to see. It's possible in the actual lab, it's possible, but it's a hard to see gland, so I probably will not be able to, but the thyroid gland as well as the thymus gland will be located in the thoracic cavity. Actually, in the neck, you will have a thyroid, and the thymus will be kind of straight, laying down heart-shaped structure. Larynx, definitely larynx. Trachea, the windpipe. The esophagus will be behind the windpipe, so kind of hard to see, so probably will not be there. So diaphragm, trachea, lungs, definitely know the lungs, the right one and the left one. The heart will be located in the pericardial sac. We already talked about that, but make sure that you will be able to identify the heart and of course the left side versus right side. Which muscle separate thoracic cavity from abdominal, and that would be diaphragm. How does the esophagus feel different than the trachea? Whenever you're looking at the trachea in actual pig dissection, the esophagus just the tube. The trachea is actually will have a half rings in front, half cartilage rings. So it will not collapse whenever you, like, for example, exhale or exhale, yes. Exhale, hard exhale, it will not collapse. It stays open. And also whenever you're swallowing, yeah, the esophagus will not be able to collapse the trachea. So the trachea has a cartilage rings. Where would you find the pericardial sac? Pericardial sac will be connective tissue essentially surrounding the heart. How does thyroid gland different than the thymus gland? Thyroid glands on either side, two granular structures, but you will not be able, well, I don't remember if you'll see it on the, in that particular, let me pull it out again, hold on. Oops, wrong one. Let's see if they're showing the thyroid, digestive, sexing, circulatory, respiratory. I don't remember which one. Let's see. No. Inside the oral, you should be able to see that. Respiratory. Let's see. Respiratory system. You can see that this is the trachea, and then behind of the trachea there will be the cartilage ring, esophagus. Yes, just a tube where the trachea has those particular half rings, excretories. I don't remember your No, it's not here, so it will be really relatively hard for me. Well, relatively hard to point it out, the thyroid, but there is a thyroid, two granular structures on either side of the trachea, and the thymus is located kind of right on top of it. Whereas the larynx, basically a voice box. Mesentery is basically the tissue which is connecting to the intestines, or actually most of the internal organs, but you can clearly see in the intestines, whenever the intestines coils up, you can kind of open up the coil and you will see the connective tissue which keeping those coils together, and then they usually surrounded or perfused with the blood vessels. So a liver for sure. So that one you definitely need to know. Stomach, be able to identify the stomach. Under the stomach, we have a stomach. On top of the stomach, there will be a kind of reddish slab, which will be a spleen. And under the stomach, there will be a granular structure known as a pancreas. So liver, stomach, spleen, pancreas, gallbladder will be on the liver. If you kind of lifted up the liver, you will see the greenish bulb, which is a gallbladder, store the bile, of course. Small intestine versus large intestine, should be able to recognize those ones. Don't really have to worry about the descending or cecum part. Kidneys for sure. Ureters. Kidneys, of course, they have the tubes, and we haven't talked about that. Actually, that's the next lecture. Yes, next lecture about the urinary system. But basically, kidneys have a tubes which taking the urine, formed urine, and to store it in the urinary bladder, right? So we have two kidneys, so two ureters going and connecting the kidneys to the urinary bladder, and then urinary bladder hold urine, and then whenever it's expelling, it goes through the urethra. So those ones, urethra will be kind of hard to see on the actual pig. So urinary bladder you can, ureters you can, kidney for sure, small intestine, large intestine, gallbladder, pancreas, spleen, stomach, liver. Those structures you need to be able to identify on the dissected pig. What is the mesentery? Again, connective tissue, which is keeping those particular coils intact. Peritoneum is basically another layer of connective tissue inside of the body cavity, actually in the abdominal cavity. Which organs filters the blood? Technically, there is two. One of them known as the liver, another known as the kidney. Liver probably was the question, well, the answer for that particular question. Where is the pancreas? Pancreas is located under the stomach. It's kind of hidden behind or below the stomach. Where is the gallbladder? Gallbladder will be located on the liver. Literally, it's on the liver, and its function to store and then release the bile into the small intestine. What two structures do ureters connect? Kidney to the urinary bladder. What is the function of the bladder? Store urine, fully formed urine, before expelling. All right. Let's see. Let me pull it out again. Yeah. Let's see. Kidneys. So here's the kidney, and that particular tube is the actual ureter. And then the ureter will be connecting it to the, yeah. So you can see kidneys, and then this is the kidney, this is a kidney, and now we have a ureter connecting the kidney to the urinary bladder. Okay, and then the digestive system. Let's kind of take a look. Digestive system, abdominal cavity, cutting through gallbladder. So here we have a liver, and that would be the gallbladder. And then, of course, you're looking at the lighter, smaller diameter, that would be a small intestine, and kind of darker, usually a larger diameter, that would be the large intestine. Stomach and spleen. So here's the stomach, and then there is a flap going over the stomach. That's the spleen. And now if you lift it up, literally you have to lift it up the stomach in order to see the pancreas. So here the stomach has been completely removed, and that particular granule structure right here, that's the pancreas. And then, of course, small intestine, large intestine. Anyway, you can take a look, and also I think that they're addressing all of that. I'm certain that they're addressing all of that in the video as well. So function already talk about that. Now, testis, spermatic cord, vas deferens, penis, scrotal sac. Scrotal sac is outside. It's basically where the testis will be located. Testis will be connected to the spermal cord, and vas deferens, we'll talk about that, to the penis. And this is what basically vas deferens, taking the sperm out from the testis to the penis. What is the function of the testis? Produce sperm. What is the function of vas deferens? Vas deferens is a tube. This is how the sperm gets from the testis into the penis and then out in the wild, so to speak. What is the scrotal sac hold? It will be holding testes. Now, a female reproductive system, urogenital papilla, that's basically a second opening. There is an anus, and then the opening, then the ovary, uterine horns, uterus, and vagina. Vagina is kind of hard to see in the fetal pig, but basically, whenever you're opening in the lower part of the body, there will be a kind of wavy lines, which basically known as the uterine horns, and they will be ended up as the ovaries. So let's kind of take a look on that. So let's see, we're talking about female. So here we go. You see those particular wavy lines, that's the uterine horns, which are merging together in the uterus. And that's the ovaries. So, yeah. Ovaries, uterine horns,
and the, well, ovaries horns, also known as the oviduct, and they will be connected to the uterus. And in the male, you will have scrotum connecting, well, keeping to testes, and testes will be connected to the penis through the vas deferens. And epididymis, we'll talk about the epididymis. That's the part you will not be able to see it, well, clearly see it, so it will not be a huge problem for the lab practical. But testes, the vas deferens, and then we have the penis with a urogenital opening. So, all right, so what is the function of the ovary? To produce eggs. What the function of the uterus? Uterus is basically where the fertilized egg will embed itself and will continue the development. What is the opening? What is the opening that connects to the cervix? That would be vagina. And we are done for today. See, very easy lab. Make sure to watch the video and make sure to go over each structures. If you'll have any questions, any problems, shoot me a quick email this Friday. Don't think I have anything specific to do. I'll try to go to the lab and take some of the pictures. So give me a moment. Let me stop sharing and let me stop recording.